Check the description for the following discount codes. Back with another budget projector review today, and I'm going to keep this one really quick for those of you that have already watched my ABIS K8 projector review, this one, because they are exactly the same unit, literally identical in every single way. Button layouts, ports, just like even the moulding of the casings, all identical. Literally the same projector. And having tested the ABIS, or ABIS, however you want to pronounce it one, it also performs exactly the same as this ABIS K8. So if you watch that review, there's no need to watch this one. It's exactly the same projector, but it's actually at a bit stronger price. The ABIS K8 is currently £210 on Amazon, and the ABIS HD8K, got to love a bit of Chinese market in there, is currently at £290. So if you're looking for an entry-level budget LED projector for some gaming, you know, some media consumption, some movies, you can buy either of them. But the one branded ABIS is like 70 quid cheaper or 80 quid cheaper, so I would get that one. If you haven't seen the review of the K8, then watch on, because I am going to demonstrate the projector and go through its features. But to summarise, again, it's a perfectly good, for 210 notes, it's a decent 1080p, 60Hz LED projector. You know, there's some loss of focus and sharpness around the edges of the picture. It's probably not the most colour accurate of projectors, but it does work just fine. And so what I'll stick up throughout the rest of the video now is me showing you it in testing. And the other thing about ABIS is that they've sent me, I'm sure it's not pronounced like that, but who cares? They've sent me over their 100-inch motorised screen. And that also works really well. It's £100, which I don't think, I mean, I'm not really up on how much motorised projector screens cost, but I don't feel £100 is too bad for a motorised projector screen, 100 inches. It's quite an operation, it's got remote control, works just fine. Obviously, with a lot of these Chinese produced things that are branded by many different brands, you don't know the quality, how long things are going to last. That always is going to be a gamble. But anyway, watch on and I'll demonstrate things and go into a bit more detail. So this is the first of our sort of image quality tests, and we're just going to have two Google browser windows open in parallel. The screen on the left is my 86-inch LG NanoCell TV, and I've tried to match the projector screen size to be, you know, exactly the same on the right there. Now this is broad daylight. It's about 11 o'clock in the morning, and I've got two quite big windows to the left of the room here that are open. The curtains are wide open. So this is a worst case scenario. You shouldn't be using a projector on a white wall in broad daylight. It's, you know, it's literally not what it's for. But I thought, as always, it's a useful test just to show you just how bad it is, you know, in daylight, which is, like I say, it's not what you should be doing anyway, but this is the first test. And then what I'll do is I'll close the curtains just so it's a little bit darker in here. Now also, all my walls in this room are white and I have a light grey carpet. So there is maximum light reflection around the room. This literally would be the worst possible room to run a projector in. Normally you would have, you know, dark walls and you'd have a proper screen to project onto as well. And again, we've got to manage our expectations here. This is another budget, you know, entry-level LED projector. And my first impressions, looking at it, I actually think it's just a reshelled ABIS K8. It looks the same. All the ports and everything are all in the same place, and even the menus that you go through are identical, so the software is exactly the same as well. But I'll have a quick peek at that in a minute. But you just see these clips here. What I'll do now is just quickly close the curtains and then replay this same clip again so you can see the difference with the curtains closed. So this is with the curtains closed. Literally all I've done is pull them across, and you can see we've got a little bit more brightness on the right hand side from the projector there. Now, as always with these cheap projectors, the sort of top corners and bottom corners are quite soft as far as focus goes. You won't get the center of your screen in focus as well as the extremities. You know, I guess the lens is just aren't that good. Again, you know, cheap entry-level projector was exactly the same on the others that I tested. You know, so far the Wimius K8 is definitely the winner out of the sort of three that I've tested. So, well, I mean, this really is the same one, so it's probably going to be the same. I'll put them back to back later in the video. And also, they've sent me ABIS, or ABIS, however you want to pronounce their name. They've sent me a electric 150-inch screen as well, which I'm going to put on the outside of the house, and we'll try that out later in the video at night time when it's actually dark with this projector, just to see how that looks. I don't really want to screw it to the wall inside the house, because drilling holes in my walls just to test cheap projectors is not really something the missus would be happy about, and nor would I. But I can screw it to the wall outside. We've got some like barge boards that are wooden. I can put cut screws in, that'll be fine. But yeah, so this is a slightly, you know, better experience, but still it is daylight. You know, I'm stood here in the room and I can see everything around me. It's not anywhere near to being dark, which is of course what you would ideally want using a projector. Now, the sound coming out of the projector speaker is, I mean, it's usable if you've got no other sort of means of sound, but you know, for most of us, even a Bluetooth speaker connected via 3.5mm jack, so you don't get any Bluetooth audio delay, would be an upgrade to the little speaker that's included in this. And also, I'm going to be quiet and let you just have a listen to the noise the fan makes, because that is, again, quite loud as well. Now I'm just going to speak. I'm speaking at a normal volume, and I've put the mic an equal distance between my mouth and the fan, so you can hear just how loud the fan is. Now, if you're using this for gaming or films or whatever, you're not really going to notice the fan, you know, in use, other than in very quiet moments in a film. Perhaps you would hear it, but otherwise it's not a big deal. Again, they're cheap. We can't expect, you know, super silent fans. Anyway, let's have a quick look at the menu system now. Let's bring that up. Again, it is exactly the same. Can I just go straight into menu? Okay, so we've kind of got like this. There's two menu systems. There's this one here, which is if you just press M on the remote control, and it does give you all your settings. I won't go through every single one, but you can see what's there in the list. But also, there is another settings option. Oh, S is for source. It's this one, isn't it? Yeah, this one here, which basically is the same settings, just laid out in a tile format. I have tweaked the image settings to try and get it as vibrant as I can. You can see there we've got the brightness, contrast, saturation, sharpness, color temperature, standard noise reduction. Often overscan is on. There is a few presets as well. But again, this menu system, this software is exactly the same as what the Wimius K8 is. There's literally no difference whatsoever. This is all exactly the same as well. Of course, you can use your phone to cast to it, whether it be Android or iOS. You can read Office documents. You can browse pictures via USB. You can play music via USB as well. And there is, you know, Bluetooth and Wi-Fi connections available. Exactly the same as what was on the Wimius K8. So, you know, it's the same projector, isn't it? We can all see that. Here's the screen set up outside on the side of my house. The projector is actually on right now, but that shows you obviously, you know, how dim the projector really is, because that is on and it's pointing at the screen and you can't even tell that it's on. So obviously using this outside in daylight is a no-no, but again, it's cheap. It's not really what it's for. But let's just have a little look at the screen itself. I've got it just hung up with a screw on either end, just so I can take it down again, because obviously it's not going to stay up out here. And then the cable that comes out of it is actually quite short. You've got controls on here, up and down and stop, and what happens is you press it and it will start scrolling up, and it will keep scrolling up until you press stop, and the same for down. And then there's the plug obviously at the other end, so that could do with being a bit longer really. This is a 100-inch screen. I think I said it was 150 in a different part of the video, but it's a 100-inch screen. And you know, it's just a cheap projector screen, and it's motorised, but the motorised side of it is fairly quiet and fairly smooth. There is a remote control for this as well, which is here. So if I just press up, it will keep going up until I press the middle button on the remote, which is stop. And then the same would apply for going down. You get a little beep confirmation as well. But it's perfectly smooth in operation, and it's very, very quiet. Not that it would make a lot of difference if it was noisy anyway, because who cares? I don't know why my camera's struggling to focus out here for some reason. But yeah, that goes up and down, and you can literally go from up to down without having to stop, should you want to. And it will just flip directions and come back down. So what I'll do, obviously later on when it's dark, is come out here, and typically it was like the longest day of the year yesterday, so I'm gonna have to wait till about 11 o'clock tonight, come out here and get this projector fired up and see what it looks like on this screen, you know, outside in proper darkness. It actually keeps going down quite a bit further than the 16:9 white area. I won't go any further than that because we'll hit my DIY mountain bike ramp that's at the bottom there. But yeah, you just put it obviously where you want it. So for me it would be, I don't know, somewhere like that would be about right. But yeah, I'll give it a blast a bit later and we'll see how it looks. So this is just outside at night time onto the projector screen itself. You can see the Google window looks a lot brighter than it did before. And if I put on some sort of nice quality, you know, film type imagery here, you'll see it actually looks really vibrant. You know, even the detail in the middle, when you get to see this tiger, or is it a tiger or a big cat or something that comes up in a minute, you can see quite a lot of detail on the fur, considering it's only a 1080p image. Yeah, this one here, quite crisp and really quite impressive. Again, you know, the Wimius K8 was exactly the vibrance here as well with these, you know, that clown or whatever you want to call it there. It's just for 210 quid for the Wimius one, perfectly usable, you know, at 100 inches. I tested up to 280 on the side of a building previously and it all worked just fine. So get one of these for the right price, whether it's the ABIS or the Wimius, and you'll be more than happy for, you know, I would say like optimum screen size, 150 to 200 inches is still nice and vibrant. And we're outside here, you can't tell. In fact, I'll put some footage up from my phone because it's not actually pitch black outside when I'm recording this. There was still more than enough light for me to be able to, you know, set everything up, move around outside, you know, without the use of a torch or anything like that. So it wasn't completely black. And it was a perfectly good experience for the money you're paying, you know. A good 4K laser projector could be £5,000. This is 210 quid. You know, you can't grumble for a bit of the latency on the Wimius and the ABIS, because they're the same projector, is relatively low for a projector of this caliber. I would guess somewhere around the 50 to 60 milliseconds. I mean, projectors inherently have sort of fairly high input latency anyway. And you see in the clips earlier, or it's beside my television, the TV updates fractionally before the projector does. But in use playing things like Street Fighter and what have you, you know, there was no noticeable input lag. I was still able to play as I normally would. But yeah, again, you know, for the money, the projector screen itself does make a big difference as far as the picture quality goes. Like compared to just having it on the inside wall of my house, or you know, the outside wall of a big building just painted white, using a screen does give you a much sharper and brighter image. I guess it's just that bit more reflective. Of course, you know, blacks are always going to be grey, as with any projector setup, because you're projecting light onto a white screen, and white is white and not black. It can never be black, you know, and you can never, you know, focus the individual pixel sort of accuracy so much so that you don't get light bleed around the areas that are bright onto the darker areas. It's just the way projectors are. It can't be helped. But again, we're talking, you know, something for a couple of hundred notes, give or take. And even if you spent a $1 on the projector screen as well, you've got like a small home theatre setup for £300 or £310, you know, which I don't think is too bad really. Whether it's for gaming, whether it's for film use or just, you know, watching YouTube even content consumption, it's perfectly good to give yourself a big screen experience, you know, for a fraction of the price of a 100-inch television. You know, it's not going to be as sharp as a 100-inch 4K TV, but you're paying a fraction of the price. So, you know, you've got to put these things in perspective. So there'll be links in the description to both the ABIS version and the Wimius version, and of course the screen as well, because with a lot of these like products on Amazon, the prices do change all the time. So whilst the Wimius K8 might be cheaper at the moment, we could find that the ABIS variant, I mean, I like it in white as well. If you are actually going to mount this like upside down in your house, which you can do, and you've got a white ceiling, you might want to pay the extra just to have it in white so that it doesn't stand out, you know, as being sort of screwed to your ceiling like this black one would, or even just wait for the price to come down, you know, by 50 or 60 notes or what, you know, whatever. At least we got options, I suppose. But yeah, that's my review. It's exactly the same as Wimius K8. They're both perfectly good, cheap LED projectors. You know, the real lumen output of these is somewhere around sort of 350 to 400 ANSI lumens. From what I've seen elsewhere, you know, don't pay any attention to what it says on the Amazon listing. It's obviously all a load of rubbish. A bit like the fact that they call this their HD8K Business Edition. I bet you that it's Business Edition because they've made it white, and obviously the 8K just makes people go, oh, it must be 8K. It's 1080p 60, you know. Typical Chinese marketing. But anyway, yeah, that's my review of that. Same as the K8, gets the thumbs up for the right price, you know, and using it in the right conditions. Low ambient light, nice screen makes a big difference. Cheap and cheerful, does what it needs to do. So, as always, thank you very much for watching, and take it easy.